Alright, we are recording. We're part 110. 110 of these things. Wow. Well, in Going Medieval, specifically. Anyway, I do have some stuff to talk about. Actually, I just remembered one of them that I should have made a note on here, but it's over here, so it's not so bad. GOG has started its summer sale. That's going until July 10th, so you got plenty of time to, peruse. They also have time to add things to the sale, because they do that sometimes. So, like, they may get, like, oh, hey, our Bethesda games are going to be on sale kind of thing. They can do that in the middle. They have done that before. They also, at the time of recording, they haven't done any giveaways yet, but they also typically have giveaways that last for 72 hours. They're shown on the GOG homepage, so you can look there if you're curious if one is going on. And actually, some of the news that I have to talk about is from GOG. Okay, yeah, that's right. Nope, over here. Here. Okay. I have no idea what happened here. I mean, I know I had these. I know I had those up. So somehow those fell. I think I can get away with this. I just wanted to put the clay things underneath. Anyway, yeah, so there's the GOG summer sale, but also they announced this week the arrival of multiple Devil May Cry games. The Devil May Cry HD collection and the Devil May Cry 4 Special Edition, I think it was. Something like that. Devil May Cry 4, though, I remember that much. I don't remember which version of it. But yeah, those have both arrived to the GOG catalog, as well as, yeah, that's fine. Okay. But also, both are in the preservation program now, which just means GOG has a stronger hand, more responsibility with doing the preservation of those games going forward. But those are not the only games to be added to that list. There's also Star Wars Rebellion, which I love that game. It's a classic 4X game that, honestly, it established certain things that are still in use today, but also did some things that you don't see used today, or at least not in a similar manner, which is disappointing. But one of the things it established was the use of 3D combat. Star Wars Rebellion was in the 90s, but it was the first one to actually use, hang on a second. Oh, that's at 1, okay. I didn't realize that I had that much higher. That's interesting. But anyway, everything should be fine because that doesn't get through. Yeah, I'll turn it around. There we go. Doesn't get through this. Yeah, so it was the first 4X game to utilize 3D combat rendering. Not that, well, no, you actually did have some controls. You did have some controls. I remember one thing I liked doing was building massive fleets, especially ones that have a lot of fighters in there. Because you get enough of those, it doesn't matter what the other fleet was, unless it also, well, especially if you're going against an AI, because they tended not to use fighters too much. You just let a few hundred fighters out. It doesn't matter. It devastates anything you're facing. Like I would have my fighters would eliminate capital ships, all the capital ships before Oh yeah, that's right. let's put the butchering table under something other than cooking. Oh wait, no, but it's also that I hate this so much. They really don't know. They really don't have this handled correctly. But anyway, one thing though that I would like to see in a new game, but I'd also like to see it more thought out than it is at the moment. Well, than it is in the thing. Okay. Is blockading. So I know you can blockade in other 4X games. Actually, no, just that. And the one underneath. Get the one underneath. Because, like, a strategy that I would use, both the Empire and Rebellion, and I know I've talked about this previously, but it's been a while. Both the Empire and Rebellion had access to the same ship called the Assault Transport, which it's the fastest ship in the game, and it's just meant for troop transport, but the thing is, it has some guns on it. There's also the Galleon Transport, which could carry more, but no guns, and was also appreciably slower. But both were fairly cheap and easy to produce. What I would do is I would make like dozens, if not like hundreds, of these things to send pairs of the assault transport to every single planet. Now the reason you do, now there's multiple reasons to do this actually. One is just to determine what's the status of that planet. To find out, is it populated? Is it on my side? Is it on the enemy side? Is it neutral? What is it? Because once you learn that by visiting. But the other reason is they would be capable of blockades. And there's also a reason why it's 2 specifically, because if it comes across an enemy planet, that enemy planet may have defenses, especially fighters. Well, 2, you could just tell it, okay, retreat. And if you tell it to retreat, that works fine. But if there's only 1, there's a better chance of being damaged by fighters than if there's 2. If there's 2, they would just always more likely to escape without damage. So I would do that. But here's the wonderful thing, is that if there were fighters, sometimes I could just defeat them. And if there weren't, then I'm blockading the planet, which I don't remember how much it cuts down the exports of that planet. But it does. And what this ends up translating to then is the your enemy fleet will start collapsing because they can't afford the maintenance anymore, because the resources from the planets aren't coming through. It's awesome. I love that. Now I want to say it's been a while since I've played Civilization 5, but you could blockade cities in that, but it was a little wonky. And it also, no, it did have where units could just self-destruct. But it's still, I don't know, I think Star Wars Rebellion, I want to say, just handle a little bit better. But what I would like to see developed, also this is well before, Rebellion is probably like a decade before Civilization 5. And I haven't played earlier Civilization games, so I don't know if it's in there. But what I'd like to see is another 4X game. Use that. Same kind of design. This is going to be awkward. Oh, no. It did get built on me first. Okay. But I would like to see that design come back. That kind of blockading. And for somebody to be able to just do a mass blockade like that. But the thing is, I wouldn't want it to just be, oh yeah, we can blockade. I'd want it to be dynamic, as in you can... the more ships you have in a blockade, the more effective it is. Which I'm pretty sure is not a thing in Civilization 5. Especially because of how the tile system works, that there are only some place you get blockade from. But do that, and just have it be like, oh yeah, we're putting ships on a planet. Come on. But be able to have it where, like, assuming that, well, it could even just be random. But if you had the ability, well, set where the blockade is on a planet, like how it orbits, so that you could emphasize, hey, I want it to, hey, these are the main spaceports on the planet. Make sure the blockading ships are positioned near them, so that it's more likely to it's more likely to be an effective blockade. That'd be awesome. I would love that. But be able to have it where, yeah, you can have it just be evenly spaced out, or have it where you do put things there. But then it's also, on the flip side, have it where a player, like the player whose planet is blockaded, can look at that and decide, okay, I want to run the blockade by going in this direction or going in that direction at this time. Yeah, I mean, it's like figuring out how to smuggle through, or even. I was like, that would be awesome. One problem, though, and I understand this is a problem, is what I'm talking about would be a full blockade and blockade running system in a game that's supposed to be, that most people would expect to be massive space combat. I do understand that I'm talking about a level of depth the average player for that genre would have no interest in. Well, I shouldn't say would have no interest in, but would not be expecting. Yeah. Still, I think it's a good idea, and I'd like to see it. But yeah, it really was. Oh yeah, and that's another thing I've got to put in the notes. You could, it allowed for distributed construction. So, I'm trying to remember what all the buildings were. I know there were construction yards for ships and construction yards for, structures. And also barracks. But I think there was some others. I don't quite remember though. You could actually build those on another planet and then send them. Which that may sound silly, but it actually is very reasonable. So that would be something like, though it's been a while since I played it, Galactic Civilizations 3 and 4. Typically you put down a colony, and that colony has to build things up. You can supply resources there, but you can't be like, hey, I want an entire building constructed from my home world and then just moved there. That's not allowed. And the funny thing, and the thing is, I think it should be. I think that's fair. It doesn't need to be like, oh man, you build the Empire State Building and you can just land it there. No, I'm not saying that necessarily. But it is reasonable to have certain things that you could construct and then put on a planet. I'm not saying that just because I kind of described that in one of the science fiction books I wrote. But it's also like the shipyards are orbiting. So those are just built, and you could, in theory, haul those over and then put them in orbit of another planet. But no, I think it is reasonable you could have buildings constructed on one planet and then transported to another. You know, we have prefabricated buildings now. Now, true, you put those down and you have to assemble them, but still, I mean, we're talking about a point at which civilization can travel faster than light speeds. I don't think the idea of having the ability of landing and buildings under a planet should be considered that big an issue. But it was really neat because the strategy I would use then is I would have systems where it's like, okay, this planet you're focused on construction yards. This planet you're focused on shipyards. That planet you're focused on barracks. Because they would work together such that, like, I could build the Dreadnought level ships, like, you know, Superstar Destroyer and the Bulwark was the name of the Rebellion, as I recall. The Rebellion Superstar Destroyer equivalent. Those would take, like, a few days to build. Because there would be planets that would have enough slots that I could have that many shipyards there. That's awesome. Now, I can understand changing that where it's not a, oh, well, it accelerates a single one, but like, no, 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 there's a minimum time of, say, 10 days. But you could still have enough of the shipyards built up that's like, yeah, but we can do 3 of them at the same time, so you can get 3 done in 10 days. It's just, it, from start time to end time is still 10 days for any of these. I could see something like that. That would be reasonable. Oh, wait. Okay, no, no, no. They are. Okay. Yes, I do have the support beams all the way along. By the way, I do not quite remember what I wanted to do with this design here. It might just be that I'm going to start breaking this up on different levels. Like move wardrobes down, or move the shelves down, and then like have one level that's just the floor. I think it was something like that. I don't remember. But yeah, I mean, it's like Rebellion was awesome. And going back to the whole putting down buildings, Pax Imperia, which is another classic 4X game, you could actually improve your colonization technology such that, like, at the base level, it would have the lowest level population building there, which is just basically where the colonists are living initially until they build things up. But at the highest level, it would have level 2 of all the building types. Which, true, it was economy, research, construction, and population. Because it was Pax Imperia, despite it being really simple, actually had very good depth to it. It's like it was very, very well designed for what it was offering there. And I would take that design over a lot of modern 4X games for how it handles things. I mean, it's like in Civilization, referring to that, you have to worry about, oh, build this building, build that building, build that building, build that. Nope, wasn't like that. These are economy buildings, so, and it's depicted as just a skyscraper that gets taller. Well, yes, you may be researching other buildings, but it's like it's visually just build the economy structure, and it focuses on that, and that builds up. So much more simple and approachable, and it's not like it's invalid either. I mean, so instead of it being like, oh, I need to select build schools, now build universities, now build libraries. Instead of saying I have to do that, I have to do that, it would just be no, build the research facilities, and just does it. But you are researching them as libraries, schools, and universities. Like, that's fine. I like that design. But it still is, as I said, you could actually, I think it was at level 2, one of each building. Each structure would be there at the end game. It's very handy. Really simplifies a lot. Alright. Son of a bitch. Okay, no. I looked. The beam was there. He just randomly decided it's got to be destroyed. I mean, even it almost looks like it's still there. At least it does mean the stuff just fell down with it. Like, I can see it here. Yeah, they really need to have a completely different system for selecting things. There we go. Yeah, because, I mean, it's like, on the half, I couldn't select this. Because this is actually in the upper half, but the only way I can view it is to basically have focus on the lower half or something like that. Yeah, this is very, very annoying. I wanted that one built first because I don't know if this gets removed, what would happen. What are you doing now? Sleep. Shit. It says I can eat easily now. There. Okay. I will drop mine down once this is done. Oh, we're already into autumn. That might not be a good thing. Okay. I really do want to get that floor building, but I can't until this is built. I need the focus to be there. Okay. Yeah, I guess I got the wardrobes after I got the chests. That makes sense. So I couldn't upgrade that. I couldn't just replace those so easily. I'm pretty sure, yeah, the chests hold more. Well, the wardrobes, I should say, hold more. Yeah, talk about that. Which was a little annoying because it wasn't a press release, it was just a YouTube video. But Microsoft has announced that it has signed a multi-year partnership deal with AMD for the future of Xbox devices, which is consoles, handhelds, and even PCs. Which does help explain the whole Xbox is everything marketing that they've been doing of late. That's been kind of like, huh? I'm sorry, but it is that is kind of poor marketing because like, what are you talking about? You're diluting the brand, kind of thing. That is a problem. Okay, so it's okay. Like they should have had this announcement first, essentially. How did that happen? But yeah, so basically, what was reported, what they were announcing is this deal. We'll have them working together on Silicon, so Microsoft is going to be involved, and they would already be, by the way. Just maybe not with this focus on a focus for most of the gaming stuff, which will also include AI. Which is a little annoying, but is what it is. So that, you know, it'll be better capable of the graphics, the CPU portion for gaming. But yes, as I said, also AI. Now, I guess I should also explain why I said that there's, you know what? Yeah, let's do that. Let's have a look at this stuff for what all to slaughter. Okay, those all mature. Okay. Should be enough for cattle. Enough for chickens, and I also just realized that that's interesting. All the cattle is domesticated at this point. None of it, well, none of it is, not, they're all pets. There we go. That's what I was actually trying to find. Not many males for the deer. Quite a number of sheep. Hey, even have some young ones. Oh, hang on, I did not realize. Only 4. Don't need that. Don't want to go to that many. Okay. Yeah. There. That should be fine. And that's under animal husbandry, which, okay. Should actually, fortunately, pop that up. Yeah, I should be able to just leave this be now. But yeah, Microsoft would already have a partnership with AMD that would include the some silicon design. Because AMD does this, Intel does this, Nvidia does this, where large customers such as Microsoft, who's going to order like 10,000 units at a time kind of thing for data centers, Amazon as well, Google, Meta, all of them. Well, Alphabet, I should say, and say Google, but regardless. They all have partnerships with the AMD, Intel, and Nvidia to make sure that certain things are in there for their benefit. Like, there would be circuitry in your CPUs, especially on AMD, since it's Zen die is used across everything. But there'd be circuitry in there. Maybe the Threadripper Epic IO die might be different, but in any case, there'd be circuitry in there to enable certain instructions that are only actually that are used in data centers, but they're not used on consumer parts, so they're actually disabled, either in firmware or would actually be with a laser fused off. But it's like, yeah, there's circuitry in there because Amazon wants that there for their data centers. So, and there would also be stuff like that from Microsoft. So this would be more about making sure that there's stuff that is exposed then for consumer parts. Although it might, well, consumer devices, it might not necessarily be parts. Like, you might not be able to buy one of these CPUs to install into a system. I don't know. We'll have to see how that ends up being. But it's a multi-year deal, so it could be a while before we start seeing stuff, but once we do start seeing it, we might see a lot of it. Or at least continue to see it for a while. Come on. There we go. Yep, already have so much here. Hey, it actually... Oh, no. That's the cooking sound over here. Unfortunately, I think I do. Well, no, actually, leave those down. So animal husbandry is the top. Hopefully they will actually take care of all of that, which doesn't look like much more needs to be slaughtered. Well, that's an interesting bug. Because I can see 2 are marked for slaughter, but none of them are marked here. Sorry, 3. 3 of them are marked. And we've also got stuff in there to be hauled out. Oh, and in here. Lovely. Let's do that. Okay. Okay, so it looks like the animals at least obey urgent haul. Takes that long to kill something? Oh no, he was just shooting. Anyway, so yeah, we'll see what happens. But one thing about that announcement that I did see some people commenting on, and it being very important to them, was they did mention backwards compatibility. So, well, backwards compatibility with the Xbox Game Library, which I'm not sure what that would translate to. As far as okay, my guess would be it would be along the lines of if it's in your digital library, you would have access to it on these various new Xbox devices. That would be my guess, as opposed to it being a you can connect a DVD or Blu-ray drive and then be able to use the use that to play in Xbox One or Series X, Xbox Series, I should say, game. I mean, that would be neat, but I doubt that would happen. It would also be really neat if they brought compatibility all the way back to 360. And in theory, I think that could be done. Might not be easy, but in theory, it could be done. And there is 360 emulation, I believe. The original Xbox, I think, was actually more so a dedicated PC, so that should be easier, but I don't know how much interest there would be in doing something like that. It would be awesome. Well, interest on Microsoft's side, I should say. But no, my own personal guess is that they basically just want to have an Xbox hardware ecosystem that spans multiple devices and will then allow you that if you own a game on Xbox, preferably digital, well, it would have to be digital, so you can download it from any of these and play it from it. Potentially, I could also see them setting it up for game streaming. So, imagine something like the Framework Desktop, which has a very powerful APU in there, especially if you connect it with a bunch of RAM. In theory, if you had one of those just in your house on the network, and then have that play the game, and you just have you can stream it to any device on the network, then that would be neat, and is completely reasonable. It would also be neat, and I know I've talked about this before with ATSC3, the next broadcast standard that they want to have in America, is IP based. So in theory, you could have a device, a tuner, that would connect to your network, and then you'd be able to watch broadcast television on any device connected to that network. That would also be really neat. And that would be neat for other reasons as well, though. Because, like, right now, with ATSC1 and before that, the NTSC standard, you would need to use a splitter and amplifiers throughout the house in order to have broadcast accessible from one antenna to various locations. In theory, though, with ATSC3 being IP based and the whole connecting to the network, then is you could have one tuner that then just you would want multiple tuners because one tuner means one channel at a time. But let's say you got 4 tuners in there, so that's four channels that could be watched at the same time. Hook that up onto your network, and then because of it being a digital signal being sent over Wi-Fi or Ethernet, which is already fairly robust within a house, most likely, you don't need those amplifiers, you don't need those splitters. It's just being sent like having multiple computers looking, one at Netflix, one at Hulu, one at YouTube, one at Disney Plus, whatever kind of thing. It's like you could do that and have it work out fine. I think when Martin gets up, I'll have him go go talk to the merchant. Though I'll be honest, I don't really get much. I don't think there's going to be much to do. But yeah, so in theory, you could have something like that with games. But I mean, we'll just have to see. We'll just have to see. One thing though, that it seems to be true for both. For both Xbox, Microsoft, and Sony, is how it seems there is a dilution of the brand, the Xbox and PlayStation brand, because a lot of PlayStation games are now coming to PC as well. So it's like, well, why get the console? There's still a good reason why, because you know that's basically just plug and play, and put the disc in, or just hit, hey, I want to play this game, it downloads, then you're able to play it, and you can have a certain expectation for the quality of the experience. And like that is still a good thing. This is actually a little bit dangerous. I shouldn't be selling caps, because caps are for winter, which is what's coming. But no, I do think, though, that if they were to decide to do something like that, where you can just Superior and Fine seem to be very similar in value. Looks like Fine is worse. Yeah, but it would be neat, because then you could have it's a lot of money I'm gonna want from them. There. Yeah, I'm just taking all your money. And have some of these clothes for free. But yeah, it is a weird situation with the whole dissolution of the console brands there. I mean, that is one thing that Nintendo is not doing and probably will never do. Like if they start making Mario, like their IP, available on other devices in a significant way. I know they've had like some like this game or that game be available on non-Nintendo devices, but that was like decades ago they were doing that. But if they would start, it's like, okay, you know, they either leadership has changed tremendously at Nintendo, or it is desperate for money and is dying. But I mean, Nintendo has a huge war chest to sit on, that they're sitting on. Like at one point, I think it was like 90 billion or something, where it was like they could have had a full console generation be a total loss to them, like make them no money, and they'd still be fine. They'd have enough money to make it to the next generation. Yeah, I mean it's kind of nuts. But hang on, how long have I been doing? Okay. So I do have one last thing I want to talk about. But yeah, so it'll be interesting to see what comes of this partnership. But I'm just thinking, do I think Microsoft were to get out of the console business? Well, they name consoles, so not quite. But I could see them try to transition the Xbox to more of just a dedicated gaming PC, whereas right now it is a dedicated gaming PC, but it's running a specialized operating system. I could see them starting to try to bring Windows to Xbox, so that It would be a special version of Windows, I think, but that in theory, and it would probably also still like everything integrated, so it's not like you can change out the GPU. But I could see them doing that so that then it's a common ecosystem across devices. Of course, one thing that if they were to do that would actually be really interesting is would they then pop that down? Oh, wait. Yeah, whatever. See, another reason why having specializations, which they don't have, I've been saying that they should have for quite a while there. One advantage doing that is the whole, like, I mean, look at some of these where it's like just everyone is getting really, really good at this. Like in theory, you can have somebody. I mean, look at this. How many of these are at highest level? You know, at such a high level. Is because you can get them all to just go to perfect on everything. It's like having a specialization story. No, you do this. No, you do that. I think so. Anyhow, one thing that would be interesting if they tried to bring Windows to the Xbox is that then sorry, my brain just turned off a little bit. Windows doesn't feel like it's been being developed by engineers. You know, that there are silly and bad decisions obvious in it. But Xbox, I could believe, does actually have a number of engineers on it. Because it is a specialized enough device that you don't need marketing people making the decision of, oh, well, we want this to look nice. Like the whole there being advertisements in the start menu. It's like, that's a marketing decision kind of thing. I mean, it's not just marketing, but it's, yeah. I mean, how technically every time you open up the Windows 11 start menu, as I recall, it actually pings Bing. So that appears then that Bing is getting more uses than it actually is. So it helps boost up those numbers. I don't think Xbox is doing that. And I would think it wouldn't really be because the Xbox is for gaming, and that's it. It might do that other stuff, but it's primarily for that, so I believe there's engineers focused on that. So if there were then an infusion of engineers that are like, no, we're here to solve these problems. We're going to solve these problems. No, we're here to make this run as best as it can. We're going to make it run as best as it can. We're not going to do that other crap. Or that other crap is crap, so it's a lower priority. We'll get to it when we get to it. That would be neat. Because then it's like, hey, we may actually have a decent version of Windows going forward. I've thought about it before. I thought about it with the laptop, the current laptop, but I didn't do it, in part because I needed the laptop functional for other things. But there's a part of me that I do want to at some point. What the hell happened here? What? There shouldn't be holes here. I do not understand that. Anyway, but I am tempted to do in the future. Probably I would have it also dual boot to Linux or Windows, just for the safety. But I would also be tempted to look into Linux, because Level 1 Techs, they figured out a lot of this. How to have a system that, though it's Linux, it will virtualize Windows when you need it. So like having it launch Office in a window that is virtualizing Windows. And it's just like, that's how it runs on the system. So instead of running natively in Linux, it is running it natively to Windows via a virtual machine, but it's just you hit the link and it does all that. And that was a few years ago that I saw them do that. That would be awesome. I would enjoy a setup like that, especially if it worked well for gaming, which would be a reason to have it be dual booting. Yeah, I don't know. I'd have to do so much research to figure that out. Fortunately, I'm not going to be building a new desktop for probably a while yet, for various reasons. One being that current desktop is working fine. It's awesome. Yeah, I got it. Check. I did tell it to emphasize, to prioritize growing, but it is also I need this stuff all taken care of. Which that's cooking. So then well, yeah. See, this is everybody that's good at cooking is also good at growing and harvesting. Actually, no, those down. So we can get to cooking. Can't fix. Oh. Alright, fine. Okay. So you two focus on cooking. Which should have them then come over and use the butcher table a lot. Oh, it's young, so I want to let it go. Saplings I'll cut down, but I don't feel like cutting down when they're young. I shouldn't have any issue with that, because it's just, well, I get fewer resources out of it. It's not really a problem, but still. The other thing I'll talk about, to close this one out. I did do the Titan Quest 2 deep dive commentary thing. The original video was labeled as a deep dive. At 3 minutes long, you can't really dive too deeply, or too greedily. But one thing about it, though, well, a couple things stated in it immensely worry me, which is really sad, but it is what it is. Okay. So one thing that they said, and it's both these are red flags. One thing that was stated in that video was Greek mythology, ancient Greece has been of interest. Well, it has basically been popular in recent decades. It's always been popular, at least for Western civilizations. It has been. It's like, yeah, it's been popular for all this time. So why don't we? So we wanted to make a game to use that setting, and then we remembered we've got the IP. We got this IP, Titan Quest IP, and it's like that's completely wrong, because that is not saying, hey, we're making a Titan Quest 2 game. It's a, hey, we wanted to do something in this setting, and rather than trying to do something original there, because that's it's like we have an idea, we want to run with it. It says, hey, no, let's take somebody else's work and just use that IP to work in, as rather than directly respecting the IP and trying to make an actual sequel there. I mean, it's like you're coming at it wrong. Versus just say, hey, I think this is a good game. There's a sequel to it. There's a lot of people still playing it though. There's a lot of love for it. Why don't we try to give them what they want? Sorry, it's just I want access to that. But yeah, I mean, it's just that was very much a red flag, because I want Titan Quest 2. Okay, I don't want another action RPG game that just happens to be in ancient Greece. I don't care about that. That's not important to me. I want the gameplay of Titan Quest in a new game that has things improved. Well, the things that were good made better. The things that were bad made good. Kind of thing, alright? I want it just improved. But that line made me think that's not what the goal is here. The goal is here is, hey, we think this will make money. Hey, we have an idea that other people are having success making money with, maybe we'll make money with it. Rather than being original, we're just going to take from somebody else's work and hope that it turns out well. Yeah, I'm not pleased about that. For the time being, I'm not going to put down the zone. I'm just trying to set the pattern here with these. And but yeah, so that statement very much worried me. But another thing worried me as well. Is in the video it talked about how something that they're bringing to the genre, that's like, their little invention for this, their little addition, is the having two masteries and merging them. And it's like, Titan Quest had that. Not, I mean, it depends on what you define as merging, but it absolutely has two masteries. And it's like, why are we not just... I mean, it's like, we're bringing something new to it. It's like, it's literally the thing that was in the game that's 20 years old you're trying to make a sequel to. Have you not played that sequel? Have you not played the original? And realized that, oh no, it's there. And it was also funny because looking at there was one YouTube comment with somebody saying, oh, two masteries like in Grim Dawn? That's awesome. I really like that game. It's like, as I recall, Grim Dawn was the developers behind that were actually the original developers to Titan Quest. And so naturally they just brought that forward, and it's like, I can understand just random person on the internet not knowing that, but it's still the developer should not be talking about how, yes, we're bringing this new thing with two masteries. It's like, you did not invent that at all. And that is part of the original game, such that if you did not have that, people would be like, even more so. I'm already very concerned that we're going to have it be this is not Titan Quest 2, this is some other game. That like Path of Exile just skinned like Titan Quest. I'm already concerned about that. But it's like, if you didn't have the two masteries that you could select, they would be I can't imagine any fan of Titan Quest 1 not being like, so when is this being added to the game? When is this being added to the game? This has to be added to the game. Yeah, it just... Yeah. I just feel like doing this. Oh, I maybe shouldn't. Well... I'm not being the man. Indeed. Or raw meat. You can have some beets though. Okay, it looks like that's the highest I'm gonna get on the event quality. It just made sense to me to do that. But yeah, so that one, now true, it could be when they say merging, meaning that like in oh crap, what is it? Is it Nature and Earth gives you the Summoner title? Like in Titan Quest 1, you select two masteries. And depending on the 2 masteries, you'll actually be given a special title. Where it is just, like I said, I think Earth and Nature give you the title Summoner, because both use summon, have summons. I could be wrong on that. One of them is definitely Summoner. And it's just, are they merged? Well, not exactly. So, it's more you just have full access to both of the, to all the abilities that both have. And then you can find synergies in there that can be quite effective. So that's neat. But there isn't merging as though you get access to new abilities that only exist because you have these 2 masteries. Like if you were to have the Thunder and Fire masteries, which I think Fire is actually tied to Earth, but in any case, where it's like now you can have a special lightning strike attack that also carries fire with it. It's like, that's not a thing. But if he's talking about how, hey, we're going to do that, we're going to have this be a possibility, it's like, okay, now that is kind of neat. And that would be merging. That would be new. But, or at least compared to Titan Quest 1, I don't have Grim Dawn. At some point, I know I got it on wishlist, so maybe I will get to it at some point, but... Well, maybe I will buy it and get to it, but for right now, not really my thing. I got other things I'm doing. But it's like, you know, that could be new. But I doubt that's what they're gonna do. I doubt that's what they're talking about. I really need the butchering. Come on. Anyway. I'm just gonna wait until midnight and stop there. But yeah, so it's those are red flags to me. I'm probably unless there's more stuff that like really makes me believe this is not gonna be Titan Quest 2, I'm still planning on buying it when it comes to early access. But as I've said previously, and I try to explain again and try to repeat myself in that commentary I did, I don't intend to review the game because I want to be. I will start doing the streams in it though, because I don't want to have to feel like I need to be taking notes all the time. I need to be recording the game, the playthrough all the time. I want to be able to just play it, but I also want to be able to go onto the Steam forums or whatever and say, "Hey, this is crap. Here's why." And you try to actually affect change by just complaining in the appropriate places. I don't do that for a game I review. I feel that's inappropriate. Because as a reviewer, I should not be trying to alter the gameplay experience. I should be reporting on it. I should be sharing what that is. Now, bugs, I will report. That's an entirely different topic, though. Right? If I see clearly a misbehavior, clearly something that is incorrect, and I report that bug, I report that as a bug. That's different than saying, hey, I don't like, what's one of them for Titan Quest 2? Hey, I don't like your change to the health system. Well, not the health system, but the health potion system. I don't like how you changed that. Here's why. Yeah, and here's why I think you should go back, and including the whole, hey, I'm interested in playing Titan Quest 2, not Path of Exile 3 or 1.5 or 2.5 or whatever, that just happens to be skin for Titan Quest. I'm not interested in playing Diablo whatever with a Titan Quest skin. I'm interested in playing Titan Quest 2. It will be interesting. Because I, as I said, some of these are red flags, so it's leaving me concerned that we might end up having that be a problem. And I will be curious. My curiosity will be, will I be the only person saying stuff like that? I mean, ideally, hope of hopes would be, if I were to experience that, start posting that, see other people agree, and then the developers actually be like, oh shit, yeah, we screwed up. We are not giving the people that actually care about Titan Quest what they want. We're trying to give other people what they want, which is not a good idea. And I guess I'll try to quickly explain this. You do not attract fans by copying somebody else's work. Okay, I mean, it's like, you can learn from Path of Exile, learn from Diablo, learn from Torchlight, learn from any of these other ARPGs. You can do that. You can learn from all of them. Take inspiration from them. But if you were copying from them, why should anyone go to you? It's like if you were copying Path of Exile, why should somebody stop playing Path of Exile to play your game? Especially when Path of Exile is free. Titan Quest will not be. Titan Quest 2 will not be. I mean, some of them might be I went to Path of Exile because I really love Titan Quest, but that's old. It's like, Titan Quest 2, here, I'll try it. But if they're like, this is the same as Path of Exile, and it's in early access, I'll just go back to Path of Exile. That's a bit more refined at this moment. Is that actually... That person's not a fan of Titan Quest 2 then? So yeah, it is weird, and I don't know why there's so many people that are doing this today. Because it's also like how with web browsers, almost everything is based on Chromium today. So, in other words, almost everything is in some ways a copy of Google Chrome. Now, granted, Google abuses the hell out of its position, and it's part of the reason why Chromium is as dominant as it is. But that's still not a good thing. And it's like, why should you use this browser that's just basically a variant of Chrome versus using Chrome if you've been using Chrome for a while? Why should you go to something else? It's like with Firefox, they are still using their own internally developed engine called Gecko. I use a fork of that called Waterfox, and yes, is it functionally very similar to Firefox? Yes, but there's some differences. One is it did not break compatibility with all the old extensions. Another is there are certain defaults and other things, but certain defaults that have been set for better privacy. It's not a privacy-focused browser, to be clear, and this is something that the developer is also clear on. This doesn't exist to focus on privacy. If you want that, there's things like Tor that you can go to, okay? That fully anonymize you. That's not the idea here. But it's like reduced telemetry and reduced telemetry back to him. In fact, he doesn't get any private information back to him reported at all. Whereas Firefox, I think, does send some back to Mozilla. I could be wrong on that. But it's also like less information by default will be shared with a browser, with the websites you visit. But he just wanted to strike a balance between something more privacy focused, but also still performant and still providing a complete experience. Waterfox initially was just a 64-bit fork of Firefox before Firefox went to 64-bit. But it's now become quite a nice competitor to Firefox. Because it offers these various features. Mozilla is making some weird or bad decisions that this guy doesn't have to. Because it's his own development, he can do that. And he is trying to add in and integrate in new things to both bring in some more money for him, because it's largely a solo project, but also because he thinks that those are desirable features. So it's like, even then, he is technically what he's doing is a copy. Yes, I had my reasons. I wanted Waterfox over Firefox, so a lot of it, when I really made the switch over, was with the extension changes. Where Mozilla was even like, oh yeah, don't worry, we're going to this new system, but the old system will continue to work, or we'll have the SDK for how you convert over, and then they never did that. So they basically lied to everyone. I like my extension, so went to Waterfox. It pulled in the Firefox profile, no problem. Been happy ever since. So yeah. But still, there's minor variations there. Well, grand scheme of things, minor compared to Gecko versus Chromium. If you're copying so it's just... Sometimes those small differences make enough sense for somebody to move over, but it's like, I'm technical, okay? I get into this stuff. For a normal user, they probably wouldn't care Firefox versus Waterfox. Why would they care Path of Exile versus a Path of Exile clone? So, distinction is how you thrive. Right? Distinction is what gives fans a reason to say, I am a fan of this more than I am a fan of that. Okay? Not I'm a fan of this, and that's just very similar. Okay? That's... I don't know why people... The funny thing is, actually, I can tell you why, but that's only for certain people, and it's not the people that should be making all these decisions. And that is executives that don't actually know what the hell they're talking about. They're just the ones with the money. Which you see ruling so many industries now, where it's like, oh, like, you know, take superhero movies, right? How those have kind of died out of late. But, you know, even without that, it's still, hey, we're seeing Marvel making a lot of money making these superhero movies. Let's make our own. Okay, I'm what superhero, because we don't have Marvel, we don't have DC. I was like, what do you want us to do? I don't know, just make a superhero. It's like, but we don't have any stories, we don't have any IP that works. I don't know, make a superhero. Because Superman is cool, isn't he? Why don't you just make a version of Superman? It's like, because Superman already exists. It's like, well, make a version of Superman. It's like, that's not really how this works. Make a version. Whereas people that don't understand that there are reasons why Superman is left, and there's certain aspects of the Superman character that are why he specifically is left. Same thing with Spider-Man. Same thing with Batman. I mean, actually, that's a good way to put it as well. The superheroes that you can name off, they're different from the other superheroes. So it's like Iron Man is not Thor, is not, I'm thinking of just the MCU stuff, is not Hawkeye, is not Captain America. They all have their very different gear, their different ways that they are superheroes, their different reasons for being heroes, their different personalities. It's all distinct there. And so you see it work nicely then when they are well written. But if somebody were like, oh yeah, hey, Iron Man was really cool, so why don't we make a whole bunch of versions of Iron Man? It's like, no, that's not helping. That's not going to grow anything. That's just copying and pasting. There's no distinction there. There's nothing you can build from there. So yeah, that's kind of my concern. And by the way, I will say it does seem like we might be running into a crash of innovation like that anyway with gaming, because of especially Unreal Engine 5 becoming so dominant, but also there would be Unity to a degree. But there are, what was it? There's somewhere I saw something about one developer is like, now we're just going to do our own engine. We're not happy with Unreal. But it is going to be potentially just indies where it is an engineer that's like, I have an idea. I want to do this. I want to make this happen. So I'm just going to do it. And not want to have to do Unreal because like, I don't know if I can do everything I want to do in Unreal. So I'm just going to make it myself. Make my own engine. It's like, there's still people that can do that and still people that are doing that. But it's just, will any of those end up being successful enough that you could then see that becoming a new platform for them? That I don't know. That I do not know. Because remember, Unreal, Unity, all those started as somebody's small project because they wanted to do something and they become dominant. So it's like you can still see that happen. It's just, will that happen? So we're contracting down the technologies. Eventually it will diversify again, because it is a pendulum swing, but I don't know when that's going to happen. I just hope it does, and I'm looking forward to it. Anyway, that's enough of my blathering. See you next time.